Hace 3 años visitamos a Andy Benavides, un artista de San Antonio que cree en el arte como la clave de una mejor educación en las escuelas. Y no es que lo crea, es que lo lleva haciendo durante los últimos 25 años. Su programa SMART, Supporting Multiple Arts Together, creado en colaboración de su esposa Yvette, lleva más de 2 décadas sirviendo de apoyo a niños de varias de las escuelas con menos recursos de la ciudad. Todo ello empezó, como dice Andy, con una simple conexión con la gente de enfrente de su estudio, el colegio Andrew Briscoe, en el que se estrenó su programa SMART. Al margen de su espectacular carrera artística, que es increíble, cuya última actuación es el espectacular mural de los Spurs en el downtown de San Antonio, la gran virtud de Andy ha sido conectar gente, formando un movimiento social y artístico que implica a los artistas en las comunidades en las que viven. Rescatamos esta entrevista 3 años después porque creemos que su mensaje es totalmente atemporal y es más actual que nunca. El arte y la educación son la solución a tiempos oscuros. Tenemos previsto visitar esta zona, el Southtown, una zona muy bonita en San Antonio, de rabiosa actualidad, en las próximas semanas, y creemos que esta es una buena excusa para retomar esta entrevista que tuvo lugar hace 3 años, volver a encontrarnos con SMART y la necesaria inclusión del arte en las escuelas. Comenzamos hablando con Andy de su programa SMART y de lo que supone para la ciudad y para sus estudiantes. Estos extractos de la entrevista definen perfectamente el programa y las increíbles oportunidades que ofrece a la sociedad y a la ciudad de San Antonio.
SMART, our education program that we started 15 years ago, and now for 13 years have been working with the school right across the street from our studio. We've learned that a lot of what we encounter as problems later in life for young adults, let's start with high school students, then young adults, and then people that have grown up in our community, is that they didn't have enough art in their life when they were in elementary school. So when we start with our kids at 5 years old, and we work with them all the way till they're 10 and 11, we've given them a sense of ownership, a sense of pride of ownership. They have a better understanding of how their community navigates. They better understand how the arts play a critical role in their emotional development. Quiero crecer el programa. I want to make it bigger. I want to follow them all the way to high school, because already just who they are already at 10 years old in their grades son los mejores estudiantes, de sincero, de empatético, las cosas que ellos quieren hacer para los barrios, las ideas que ellos salen. Ellos mismos solos están pensando de cosas para hacer, porque es uno de los más pobres escuelas en la ciudad. Estos niños son pobres. A veces no tienen mamás, papás. Pero hablando con ellos, nunca puede saber a alguien que ellos tienen problemas en sus casas. Porque cuando ellos llegan a la escuela, ellos ya saben que es una oportunidad. Uno de ellos fijaron que todos los días tiran bastante comida que no comen, fruta, lechuga. Y uno de ellos solo, sin nadie, habló con uno de las maestras y dijo, ¿por qué no organizamos un grupo para juntar todo ese comido en bolsa y ponerlo afuera cuando termina la escuela para las familias que no tienen que poder levantar la comida? Y yo le dije, wow, es buena idea. My hope is that I don't think we can ever have a program big enough to impact all the schools. But what we do have is we're putting a curriculum together, right? That can be something I can give to you as a teacher. And I can say, teach this way, and you're going to see your students excel. With the school across the street, we're already demonstrating how effective it is by saying, any topic that you want to teach your student, tell us what it is, and we're going to find the artist in history that by teaching them that artist, they're going to learn what you want them to learn academically. And I think sometimes that's where the problem is from an academic standpoint, is you can't, this creative energy, this magical form of expression that we have as artists, it can't be boxed. No puede. Y yo pienso que no es buena idea. Déjalo que vive. Don't try to explain it. Don't try to define it. Let it just nurture. It's creating an opportunity for them to see beyond just the limitation of the school. We actually have lots of community partners in the area. There's professional architects and chefs who we will take our students to go visit those places during the daytime. So they'll actually get to explore their neighborhood. They always, again, from the time they're 5, have an understanding that they're in an arts community. And with it comes a lot of sort of pride of ownership, right? They want to learn more about it. They want to know how they can contribute. Now they take more pride in just who they are and where they live. And it is probably the most unique place in our whole city just because of the diversity, right? There's diversity in demographic. You have rich people and you have poor people. You have people of color. You have people of all different cultures. And so it's a little international experience all within a very small footprint of the city. Our students in getting to experience that get an understanding. I think for me, it's like, I think we inspire them to want to see the rest of the world. You know, they understand that their limitations are not just within the 3 square mile area, but what they learn through the programming is that there is a whole other world out there. And I think by just having an understanding that there is a whole other world of different cultural experiences, potentially makes them more global in their thinking, in their concerns, and their empathy for the world, in what they see and how they can contribute in their own community, things that will benefit the rest of the world, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And I think that's where arts, for us as the foundation and what they learn, is their biggest contribution. And
Andy sabe apreciar la importancia de una buena oportunidad y por eso se dedica a generarlas. Las sinergias que ha creado en Southtown, en su barrio, y las oportunidades ofrecidas a artistas emergentes y noveles explican la importancia de la escena artística en este momento en San Antonio, en un momento de total efervescencia del arte latino en Estados Unidos y más concretamente en San Antonio.
I think there's something to be said about opportunity, because when you give someone an opportunity, they're more likely to ask for that opportunity. When there are no opportunities, all those potential future artists, creators, don't even have a place to go ask for an opportunity. By us being here and we're very much an incubator in our city for the arts. What I started to pay attention to was what I was doing in connecting community and then I started to look at maps, and I started to pay attention to the connections I was making within these mapped areas. And I've now sort of accepted it as a social art movement. So where my art isn't necessarily something that's hanging on a wall anymore. Now it's more about the connections that I'm making in community and how those communities are working together to sort of foster and nurture their communities, right? Y yo pienso que todo comenzó con la idea de juntar personas que viven en otro lado de la calle. Es parte de la comunidad. It's kind of it's a natural occurrence. It's take artists and put them in different parts of the city, and they naturally become part of that community that naturally becomes part of the art as what we'll look at as being an art form. You know, I mean, it's really what, you know, you hear the cliche statement of life is art and art is life, right? And it really is. And I think that with what we're doing as artists in these communities is, it's about inclusion and accessibility, where what we know of art to be, as not sometimes being accessible because it's a richer person's luxury, right? And I think what keeps San Antonio really unique is that the arts in San Antonio are very communal. They're very dependent upon the community to actually be identified as art, and vice versa, you know? I always tell my friends that are still moving here from other parts of the world and the city, the country, that San Antonio is still fairly young. As a city that's 300 years old, in the art world, it's always been known for its history, right? So in the art world, though, it's only about 30 years old. And I think it is all because of the events that we started 30 years ago, like the first Friday Art Walk, the second Saturday Art Walk, now the annual Luminaria Arts Festival that they have. I think that the city's finally seeing the arts as an additional asset in our community. 30 años ya pasado, era más duro, era no tan fácil tener un vida de artista en la ciudad de San Antonio. Ahora es más fácil porque hay bastantes lugares, ahora hay más galería, más museo, y los que están comprando el arte es para el artista es el más importante, ¿no? Para vender el trabajo que estás haciendo. Pero San Antonio is very unique because it's not competitive. You know, we have a lot of artists that come here from New York and from California, the East Coast and West Coast, and they all have an observation that San Antonio is such a nice place, and sometimes too nice. They feel like they can't trust someone who wants to help them, you know. And the community of artists in San Antonio is very unique because everybody helps each other. There's not a sense of competition. Everybody is very complimentary of each other's work, very supportive.
También hablamos con Andy del tema de la gentrificación, que ya en aquel año 2022 empezaba a estar sobre la mesa. Este tema lo abordaremos más profundamente en próximos vídeos en los que analizaremos la fase de gentrificación en la que se encuentra San Antonio en este momento, y sobre todo la compararemos con Austin, de cuya específica gentrificación tienes un vídeo en este canal.
I think that we have a pretty good. So you have to. It's a lengthy topic because politically, what we're doing in identifying these culture zones that are each 3 square miles is that we're equipping the communities with the political insight they need to put community plans together, so that in their community planning, collectively, they can determine what they want and they don't want in their communities, which I think is what's going to be really effective when someone thinks that they can come into the area, into Southtown, for instance, and just build anything, that they'll be confronted by a community that says, hey, we don't want it, or if we do want it, and what are you going to give back to Southtown, the arts district, you know? Or it can't be 10 stories, but it can be 3 stories. You know, I think the advantage of some of what we're doing in organizing this effort is that it will be a communicative voice, because I've learned that when someone has money and they come in with an idea to do something, because it's going to happen, because the city's going to complement the money, and the money's going to complement the city, and the community's going to have to swallow it. But what we're trying to do is make it easier to swallow, right? So if that development comes in, we're at the table and we make sure, one, that they're giving back, that they're collecting the local art, that they're engaging in the local art, that they are building things within what our expectation should be of what it will look like, right?
Síguenos en nuestras redes, comparte este vídeo y no te pierdas nuevas aventuras en San Antonio, Austin, Texas y Estados Unidos.